And just let yourself think for a second. What if they did have that pick and Urban Meyer wanted to get back into the NFL? Or not back into it, but he wanted to get back into coaching and go to the NFL. And he wanted to not just go to any opportunity, but specifically be tied with Trevor Lawrence. And what if that happened to be in New York? What a disaster that would have been. Get you thinking, could be worse. Hey, you know what? Maybe we should be thankful for Robert Saleh and Zach Wilson. Whoa, is that ugly? And how did it go so wrong so quickly with Urban Meyer? Now, we know in New York he would have been chewed up and spit out even quicker. He probably would have been fired in week 2. He wouldn't have made it here. But you think back to the hiring, and it was all, remember the Jet fans' angle. Oh, well, we got the number 2 pick. I wanted Trevor Lawrence, and we got Zach Wilson. Of course, we can't get the premier name. We can't get Urban Meyer, the big name in college football, who's going to come and change the program. They get Robert Saleh, who I know Jet fans were happy about, but still, he doesn't have the coaching pedigree that Urban Meyer has or had. And then Meyer, one thing after another, hires the idiot, from Iowa, the strength and conditioning coach. He's got to fire him. That was strike one. Just the little things that started to add up early on. We get way more serious with some of the things that happened with him afterward. But how about the idea that Urban Meyer was saying, well, every week it's like we're playing Alabama. Oh, what are you surprised by this? What'd you think it was? Well, this is not Ohio State Rutgers exactly. All due respect, Rutgers. Just kidding. You know what I mean? It's not Ohio State scheduling some cupcakes that they're going to go play. I swear to you, and I said it on the overnights. Go back and check the tape. I said it at the time, Urban Meyer will not survive the season. This was before, him not getting on the plane ride home with the team and messing around at some bar, which is just idiotic, immature behavior in any aspect. Especially if you're talking about a leader of a football team. But when he started saying every week is like Alabama, I said, this guy doesn't, you could see it on his dopey face that he was not long for that job. Matter of fact, I believe I compared him to Bobby Petrino. And now, all of a sudden, obviously that's the easy comparison where Meyer is out, Bobby Petrino quit. It's similar. These guys had success at the college level. They get to the NFL. They're overwhelmed. They realize they can't cheat and get away with crap that they used to do at the college level and scam their way to a winning program. Can't do that at the NFL. Oh, this is actually real football here. Oh, this is, you got to actually be a good person to coach in this league and try to do things the hard way, the right way. But, think of how quickly it has fallen with Urban Meyer, where you looked at him once like, oh, man, this is going to be unbelievable. One of the great all-time coaches at college, the national championships, Florida and Ohio State. Can't wait to see what he could do at the NFL level. The Jaguars, I'm envious as a Jet fan. I'm envious of the Jaguars. Remember, too, there was talk, not even just from the Jet fans' perspective, but there was talk about Trevor Lawrence. Oh, he should be thankful that he's not going to the Jets. He avoided disaster. Oh, yeah? I know it has been pretty for Zach Wilson and the Jets. Would you rather be in Jacksonville right now and dealing with all he dealt with in a rookie year? We talk about Zach Wilson being ruined by the Jets. Look what Jacksonville has done to Trevor Lawrence. Not only does he look lost on the football field, it has been a 5-ring circus. Khan, the owner, who you almost feel bad for, he got duped. You could understand why he went out there and brought in Urban Meyer. They're thinking they're going to turn this thing around. It's going to be a great program, head coach, quarterback combo with Meyer and Lawrence. And it's been a disaster. But the Alabama thing and then messing around, like we said, not getting on the plane ride back home. How does Khan let him get away with that at the moment? Where if you don't get on the plane, that is a fireable offense. You're not getting on the plane with your team. It shows you where his priorities are at or where they're not at. Does he care about the team? He just thinks because he's Urban Meyer, he can walk around and kick people and touch people and do whatever it is that he's doing in his short stint in Jacksonville and get away with it. And meanwhile, every week they go out there, his team's getting beat, bludgeoned, time after time again. Point is, today's a day to be thankful. I know we've passed Thanksgiving, and now we're looking ahead to Christmas and the New Year, the holiday season, but Jet fans should be thankful. As much as we rip New York sports and rip Zach Wilson and question Robert Saleh and how overmatched they've looked, Saleh, LaFleur, Wilson, It can always be worse. Be thankful today, New York, that clown loser, Urban Meyer, chose Jacksonville. Be thankful that the Jets won enough games to where they didn't have the number 1 pick in Trevor Lawrence. Because it could have been worse, believe it or not. So Meyer out. I mean, between Urban Meyer and the COVID stuff, that's basically week 15. All right, your call's next. We'll see you on the other side. No, we will take your calls, 877-337-6666. Week 15 gets kicked off tonight. You assume and hope that they could get all these games in as schedules. I was looking over the schedule. Tonight's a big one. Really, you got probably the 2 biggest games on the Week 15 slate. For me, anyway, I love the Chiefs and Chargers matchup tonight on Thursday Night Football. Big AFC rivalry, and, the Chargers beat them earlier in the year. Chiefs kind of riding the ship this season. And, the Chargers with a chance to be in it in that division if they get a win at home. So that'll be a nice matchup. And then Saturday. Now, I hate these Saturday games. Saturday night, though, you have probably the best game on the board, Colts-Pats. I mean, that is a big matchup in the AFC. That's a must-watch Saturday night, and that's why I hate it, because Saturday night's movie night with the wife. When I tell her Saturday, when she goes, okay, what are we going to watch now? We have plenty of movies. We have DVR to catch up on. And I break the news to her because I haven't yet. And she doesn't listen, so don't worry about it. This will be a surprise come, 7 o'clock Saturday night. I might have to play the long game here and wait it out until she falls asleep, hopefully 7:30, 8 o'clock. What time does that game start? Maybe it starts by 8, and then I could get her to fall asleep, and then I get home free. But wait till I break the news to her. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't watch any movies with you tonight or DVR because the Pats are playing the Colts Saturday Night Football. Not to mention that there's a ton of things we got to get done for the holiday and get ready. I mean, it just doesn't end. I hate these Saturday games. I prefer them all on Sunday. That's where football should be played. But anyway, the biggest game on the board for my money, Pats and Colts, that is a huge game. I mean, you look at some Sunday matchups. Look, with the locals, we got crap. We know that. Watch the Cowboys. The appeal there is going to be how many Cowboy fans are in attendance at MetLife Stadium cheering on, how about them Cowboys, cheering on the Cowboys and embarrassing the Giants further. And the Jets and Dolphins, of course, there's curiosity again how Zach Wilson can play against a very difficult defense in Miami. And you got in both those games the division rival, so there's, look, interest there. But nobody would expect any miracles. Each team is about a 10-point underdog. Other than that, though, you look at the Sunday slate, Packers, Ravens, assuming Lamar Jackson can play. Ravens right now, 5.5-point underdogs at home. Broncos, Bengals, no. There's some individual teams that need to, win some of these games, but the matchups aren't there. The best matchups for me, Thursday night tonight with the Chargers hosting the Chiefs, and then Saturday night, Colts and the Patriots. And we mentioned the Giants, and we've been beating them up for 2 weeks, 12 weeks, 15 weeks, however many, 2 years, 10 years, however long it's been with the Giants. But yesterday, Joe Judge goes out there and basically backs Jones. Now, I don't expect him to say, you know what, Daniel Jones isn't the guy. He's always hurt. He's a turnover machine. We're going to go in a different direction next year. Hell, I don't even know if I'm going to be here next year. So you kind of expect him to back Daniel Jones. Problem is, we've already seen enough. And we don't even know. I mean, I'm assuming Joe Judge is going to be back, but we don't even know who's going to be making those decisions. Who is the general manager? So it's hard to sit here and take anything Joe Judge says seriously. Hard to sit here and assume that Judge will be back, he won't be back, or Jones will be back. We don't know. First things first. Who's going to be calling those shots? Is Gettleman going to move on? Are the Giants going to kick him out the door? Are they going to force the retirement? Are they going to fire his rear end? And are they bringing in somebody from the outside? Then is that person from the outside going to have full autonomy? I hate that, but it works in this case. How about, is he going to have overall say in who stays, who goes as far as coach-quarterback combination? Or is this a situation where the Giants say, we want to keep some kind of continuity here. Coach stays, quarterback stays, you do what you want with the rest of the roster. So we don't know. I'm not going to get too worked up over Joe Judge and his comments about Daniel Jones. Although I will say, if he's watching the same things that I've been watching for the last 2 years, I don't know how anybody could feel good about it. And by the way, my job, thankfully, is not tied to Daniel Jones. Joe Judge, his is. So imagine your job being tied to Daniel Jones, and then you going out there saying that this is the guy we want moving forward. I'd be like, hell, I'm exploring all options. Right now, he hasn't done enough for us. We need to start winning some games. Whether it's because of his poor performance on the field, whether it's because he can't stay healthy, he hasn't done enough. And guess what? If he doesn't do enough, that means I'm out of a job. So you better believe I'm evaluating all options. Hey, I'm not pushing forward with him. We got to see if he could be healthy. That's the whole other thing. Who knows how serious? Obviously, a neck injury is serious. But who knows long term? Are we talking career threatening? Are we talking about missing time next year? Those are dangerous things, and we don't really have an answer for that. And if it is, then the Giants will, in fact, have no choice. And maybe they'd be better off for it. Because I get the feel, and again, this is just based on some kind of common sense and using logic here. I'm not even 100% certain the Giants are getting rid of Gettleman. It seems that everybody's thinking that. But you know how their ownership works. They want continuity. They don't want to continue to have this turnover that we've seen here in recent years that is very uncharacteristic of the Giant organization. Which would lead me to believe initially that, I'm not so sure Gettleman's going to go anyway. But certainly not Joe Judge. I would anticipate them making a change with Gettleman. They have to. But who knows with Joe Judge? And I would not think at this point that I bet the Giants organization wants Joe Judge back. I bet they want Daniel Jones back. And I also believe that that's the wrong thing. So you have two different things here. One, what they're going to do. Two, what they should do. What they should do is fire everybody, start over. Boop, reset button. You know, like you're getting beat in a video game. And what do? You're getting beat in a video game. You're frustrated. Screw this. Reset button. Well, that's what the Giants need to do. For me, my mind goes back to the old Nintendo. Again, I'm dating myself. And just to clear one thing up, too, about yesterday, where I saw some comments, oh, it's not the 90s anymore, man. You're living in the 90s, man. I'm not old man yelling at the clouds or get off my lawn. Although if I see some kids on my lawn, you better believe I'm telling them to get the hell off my lawn. You know how much it costs to maintain that lawn? You little bing-bongers, sprinklers and maintenance and hedge trimmers and this and that. Get the hell off my lawn unless you want to start paying the bill. Anyway, that's not me. Old guy Sal yelling at the kids on the lawn or yelling at the clouds. What I was trying to do was educate you on the young, bing-bongers. I know a lot of people know what it was like in the 90s, obviously, and there are some people who could educate me on what it was like even before that, when the Knicks won a championship in 73. But the point of that yesterday was to say that the Knicks actually used to be a team that meant something. Playing in the Garden meant something, not for just the opponent, but the matchup because of who the Knicks were. And the fans wouldn't let that nonsense like the other night with Curry, they wouldn't let that happen. The players wouldn't want to let that happen. As far as the fans rooting for Curry or making it like this big pageantry, oh, look at him breaking the record. It wasn't about that, I think it's the 90s or I'm living in the past. I'm letting you know that at one point, the Knicks were not the laughing stock of the league like they've become, where people come by and, oh, yeah, I'm going to go to the city. After we mop the Garden floor with the Knicks and embarrass them and somebody lights it up for 50 and breaks records, this and that, and then we're going to go out to, a nice steakhouse and go out to clubs. Before that, it used to be, hey, we're going to the Garden, and it was about the Knicks. Now it's just a stopover for guys who are like, oh, yeah, and the season schedule, oh, cool, we got New York that night. Good, I'm going to light them up for 50, go out for a nice dinner, hit the club afterward, and then move on. Go take on the Cavs in Cleveland on Tuesday. So this is not old man Sal, oh, you're living in the past, bro. By the way, I wish it was the 90s. The point was it's not, and it's far from it. And there were great things about that we need to get back to, whether it's the team or the fans respecting themselves, because this city is better than that. That's the point. Anyway, we've kind of gone all over the map here a little bit. Urban Meyer fired. He's out. Week 15 NFL starts tonight. Chargers and Chiefs. You got the Jets and Giants both playing on Sunday, division rival games, although they mean nothing other than just pride. Go out there and beat the Cowboys, rah, 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 even though is that going to be a road game? It'll feel like it. Close your eyes and imagine. Listen to the sounds. Are they playing in Big D or is it MetLife Stadium? Sounds like Big D to me. But in reality, it'll be in New York as the Cowboys take over. And again, the Jets in Miami. What could go wrong there? And Joe Judge talking about Daniel Jones being the guy of the future. 877-337-6666. John in Valley Stream starts us off. What's up, John?
Hey, Sal. How are you this morning?
Good, John. How are you?
Good. I just want to talk about how come nobody ever brings up the fact that Zach Wilson, he obviously looks overwhelmed in the NFL, but you drafted a guy number 2 overall that went to BYU, And his hardest competition all of his career at college was Louisiana Tech. And then we wonder why he's overwhelmed in the NFL. Daniel Jones, another guy, went to Duke. We wonder why these guys are overwhelmed once they hit the NFL.
Well, I think it's different with Jones. With Wilson, I'm looking at a kid that's overwhelmed. I think that's the right word to use for Zach Wilson. I never got that feel from Daniel Jones. I just don't think Daniel Jones has been very good in all 3 years. He hasn't been able to stay healthy, hasn't been very productive. And I wouldn't also look at the competition, although in this case with Wilson, because he looked so raw and overwhelmed and not ready for the NFL, I do think that has something to do with it. Not only did the game speed up, look, it speeds up from the SEC.
No, he lost to Coastal Carolina last year.
No, but that's the team. That's not about him.
I understand that, but if you're going to be the quarterback of an NFL football team, you got more than 12 points against Coastal Carolina.
Well, no, I'm not worried. See, I'm not going to judge. See, that's the wrong thing. I'm not going to judge him what he does against Coastal Carolina as far as point total goes. But if you listen to me, let me finish my point for a second. If you go from the SEC to the NFL, and which is obviously the best conference in college football, if you go from the SEC to the NFL, the game still speeds up. So imagine how much faster it speeds up from when you go from BYU to the NFL, which plays back to the whole point. The Jets put him, Zach Wilson, in a position to fail. They didn't build the structure around. Well, they didn't build the structure around him. And I'm not just talking about offensive line or weapons. I'm talking about the coaching as well.
I just feel like we never have any number one receiver. I know Elijah Moore's up and coming, but I feel like nobody's ever open down the field, ever, for Zach Wilson.
I don't think that has to do with it. I mean, I think there are people. How about the open guys that he can't hit? He's throwing
That's true, too.
He's throwing it 10 yards over their head, and thanks for the call, John. Or the guys underneath, he's throwing it in the ground. So it's not, it's more than that. I don't think this is about, we don't have receivers that could get open. They need a big-time playmaking tight end. I don't think that that's the case. They have Eli Moore who could be a playmaker. Do they need more? Sure, eventually. That's not what I'm worried about right now. I'd like to see them run the football consistently behind a good offensive line. Oh, by the way, where the hell's Mekhi Becton? Where's the big ticket? Get on the field. Get healthy. Get back on the field. They need him. And that's been an issue. But just evaluate Zach Wilson, regardless of the guys open downfield. By the way, Corey Davis has been open. He's dropping balls all year long, too. So I wouldn't worry about that. I'm more concerned about him not making simple throws, looking like the game is being played at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and he's just sitting there like, oh, what happened? What's going on here? I need the game to slow down. But it's at light speed right now. And I do think that has to do with his experience at college. If you go from BYU to Georgia or Alabama, it's a different level of competition. Or even the Big Ten. You've watched, and we've seen Trevor Lawrence, we've seen Justin Fields, Mac Jones. Everybody's been different, these rookie quarterbacks. It's different for everybody. But the one thing is, for those other guys who played a higher level of competition, I think the game is a little bit more comparable. Look, again, it speeds up, but just maybe speeds up a little less than it does for somebody coming from BYU. That is obvious. The other thing is, the Jets weren't taking him on what he did against Coastal Carolina. That doesn't mean anything. You've seen plenty of quarterbacks in college go out there and light it up and put up big numbers and dominate. Look what Dwayne Haskins did at Ohio State, just to bring up a recent comparison, especially when you talk about with Daniel Jones. You're evaluating the individual. And if guys drop balls or guys who do catch it don't take it to the house because they don't have breakaway speed, that can impact your numbers. That can impact the stats. So you're just watching with your eyes and scouting the skill set. And even in a year where he has looked completely overwhelmed and overmatched, you still see the skill set from Zach Wilson. Even I can see that. More of your calls on the other side, 877-337-6666.